Mike Brown, the former FEMA director.
Joining us here is the former FEMA director.
History, I think, was very unkind to you, my friend. Very unkind.
Mr. Brown, thanks for being with us.
This is Michael Brown Unplugged.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Michael Brown Unplugged. It is Friday. Welcome to the podcast. And because it is Friday, that means that Hollywood and Toto, Mr. Toto himself is, I can see him on Skype in his green room. How are you today, Mr. Toto?
I actually have a new computer, but I know that you love the green glow, so I'm going to go with this for as long as it works.
Well, I think it's fantastic. You look really good.
I'm mid-Hulk.
Mid-Hulk. All right, so let's get started because I know you've got things to do and I got things to do, and you don't really like to talk to me anyway, and I understand that. So. You sent me The Simpsons.
Yeah, this particular clip, I don't know the context, whether it's going to be from an upcoming episode, but they sent it out in the social media landscape. And of course, it involves Trump and the squad and the Democrats running for the White House. And by the way, it's The Simpsons. It's about a little kid and his smart sister and a little baby who doesn't speak, and Homer and Marge. And why are they dabbling with politics so much? But more importantly, how sad is this? When you hear this clip, I have to say, I grew up loving The Simpsons. I haven't watched the show in like 15 years. I think it's sort of jumped the shark, and it's more just like it's a perpetual motion machine. But by golly, can you please conjure the squad and attempt a joke at their expense? Can we just acknowledge the fact that they're a deeply flawed unit, or the fact that every Trump joke has been told a dozen times, and maybe you should move on to other topics? It's exhausting. I actually, when this clip first aired on social media, I think I retweeted it saying I'm so embarrassed for them, but apparently they have no shame.
Well, all right, here we go. I should point out, since people can't obviously see the clip, that it starts out with Trump in the Oval Office kind of flopping his head down in almost exasperation on the Resolute desk. All right, here we go.
So many problems, tariffs. I need a distraction. They shouldn't be in America. No one but me in America. No taxes for me in America. This is my natural haircut.
We're more American than your wife.
She's not a big presence in my life.
Your love life makes us heave.
You two will never see Tel Aviv.
You're greasing your palm with emoluments.
It's okay with God, says Mike Pence.
Your Boris Johnson would call the class. Can't wait to see you behind prison glass. Your nose is right up Putin's ass. We say it's time to impeach you fast.
Oh no, it's the Democratic candidates. Can't be the first one to lose my breath. Can't be the first one to fall.
Who's an old man now?
Oh, The Simpsons. Okay, the only part that I found funny was when all the Democratic candidates came in a chorus line doing the high kick, and Trump joined them and couldn't keep up with them. He ran out of breath. I thought that was mildly funny.
I watched your face while you were listening to the clip, and you didn't smile. It was almost expressionless. You looked a little bit like that was the main look you gave during the whole thing. And so I'm pretty sure if you're doing political comedy, you want people to kind of at least crack a smile, and I didn't get one from you.
No, and I said, and as I pointed out, the only thing I found mildly funny was, and it wasn't even politically funny. It was just the images of all of the 467 people running on the Democrat ticket, all of them in a chorus line kicking their legs up. That was just visually mildly funny.
That was a clever little spin.
Yeah, the rest of it was meh.
A couple of thoughts. One is, when it comes to Trump, you can say many, many things about it, and often he deserves all of it. And guess what? This dude is in his early 70s and seems to have the energy of a 6-year-old. He is full of enthusiasm and bluster, and he goes on and on and on. And when he does his rallies, he is full of energy, full of excitement, and rallying up the crowd. And that's just him. So for the late in the skit joke to be, oh, he's so tired, he can't even keep up with Joe Biden. Not only is it not really funny, it doesn't really work because it doesn't match reality at all. If you want to make fun of his, some of his sayings, go for it. His ego, go for it. His grandiose statements, fine. You're making fun of his lack of energy when the truth is even his most ardent haters are not going to say, oh, that guy doesn't have any energy. It's all he's got. He's just chock full of mojo.
And I think what I said, and I think you heard me correctly, what I found mildly amusing was those candidates lined up kicking their legs up.
Right, like there were so many of them.
Right, because it was so many of them, and you got that chorus line, that the Rockettes, whatever that song is, going.
Yeah.
I found that alone mildly humorous, amusing. You notice I didn't say I found it funny that Trump was out of breath and he fell over, because to your point, it doesn't fit with the reality. And that's what is wrong with comedy. Comedy has to have an element of truth in it. That had no element of truth in it.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think what we'll see in a few weeks when Saturday Night Live comes back on the air with new episodes, I think they'll either ignore the squad or they'll defend the squad, but they sure as heck are not going to make fun of the squad. And the squad is chock full of stuff that you can make fun of. So it's amazing that comedy today, listen, there are exceptions. The Babylon Bee jumps to mind. But today's comedians can't even bring themselves to mock the left. It's out of bounds. It's unacceptable. It doesn't even cross their minds. Even when people who are, bathing, marinating in anti-Semitism, like members of the squad, they ignore it. I'm so dumbstruck by that trend in comedy. It's not just that it's left-leaning or that they hit Trump a lot. Trump is a ripe target. I get it. You got to make fun of the president. Go for it. But the fact that they consistently ignore people like the squad members it's jaw-dropping. I can't process it. It's amazing.
The story you sent me about the Simpsons episode is on a website that you and I both use, Mediaite. I kind of generally know where they are. The headline is, The Simpsons ridicules Trump spat with the squad in musical number inspired by West Side Story. And as you were talking, I'm listening to you and I'm kind of scrolling through the story here, and it's trying to point out that, oh man, this is cutting edge. I don't find it cutting edge at all. And the story ends with no actual characters from The Simpsons appear in the promo. It's like no animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
And no jokes were actually told in the making of this particular video clip.
No jokes were told in the making of this promo.
They think this is brave. We've had 3 years of anti-Trump behavior. It's wall to wall, and every new comment is brave and bold and part of the resistance. And I really want to talk to a hardcore liberal and just say, listen, Fred or Mary, whatever your name is, are you enjoying this? Do you really need that? And just maybe I'm answering my own question here. There's a reporter who works for either Variety or The Hollywood Reporter, and I follow her, and she's hard left, and I see some of her tweets. And she mentioned how Seth Meyers was on vacation for a week, so he couldn't do his late night with Seth Meyers show. And she was bemoaning how sad she felt. And I think she either directly or indirectly said the show for her is therapy. And I thought, yeah. So if you're part of the resistance, you haven't been able to get over the fact that Trump is president for 3 bloody years, that is your therapy. It's not comedy. It's sure as heck not entertaining or funny. It's therapy. And by golly, when do you get out of therapy at this point?
Well, is there some therapy coming? Because the next story I want to swerve into is the story you've written about Bill Maher. But don't we also have – didn't Piers Morgan recently say something about –
Yeah. I mean, Piers Morgan is a liberal fellow. He's left of center. But he did a wonderful interview recently with Ben Shapiro, which I recommend highly. I listened to, I bet most of it. And he talked about how insufferable the left is and how they don't want to have debates. They don't want to have conversations. They want to shout you down. Here's Piers Morgan and Ben Shapiro, basically enemy combatants in the ideological wars. And they're having a civil, friendly debate. They're exchanging ideas. They're not attacking each other. It's what people should be doing across the great country. But they're not doing it. And he puts a lot of blame on the left. And listen, the right isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I think when you talk about what's going on in a toxic way in our culture, it's coming from the left.
And let's talk about Bill Maher in 1 second. But
yeah,
Piers Morgan and Maher doing that. Isn't that what you and I have kind of been asking for? Isn't there somebody out there that would say, hey, guys, this is kind of out of control?
Absolutely. But they are individuals. They are not a mass movement. They are not being joined by a chorus of their fellow left of center souls. They're basically speaking alone. And, when Bill Maher blasted Rashida Tlaib, she said, hey, maybe we should boycott them. And again, no one jumped to Maher's defense. I think there are people on the left who want Maher to shut the bleep up. I think they need him to stand down and stop it. When what Maher is doing is being a pragmatist and saying, hey, guys and gals, the party is suffering. We're acting ridiculous. We're going to hand a second term to Trump unless we get our act together. I mean, he's being very, very proactive. I think he's being very careful in nurturing his own side. And I applaud that on multiple levels. I guess I admire it, too. I mean, that's what you should do. If my party is going astray, I would like to fix it, mend it, let people know what's happening. And I think that does happen a lot on the right side of the aisle.
So your story over on your website at hollywoodandtoto.com is the left must listen to Bill Maher before it's too late. That's your headline, another great headline. But your intro, your subhead is, if Democrats keep ignoring the HBO host warnings, they will get 4 more years of Trump.
Yeah, listen, when you think about what Trump offers and what the ills of his first term are, it's the boorish behavior, but a great economy. It's also people are getting absolutely fed up with this groupthink, with not being able to speak your mind, with labeling everything as offensive. This is a dog whistle. I think there are people who are independents who maybe aren't even tuned in to the political fray who think, yeah, I'm sick of that too. And if Trump's on my side in that way, maybe I'll just deal with the sort of the silly headlines and the rancor and the bad late night jokes and enjoy a politician who's going to speak up for me. I just don't think it does the left any good to be PC scold. I don't think it helps them. I think it helps a very small percentage of hard leftists, but you've already got them in your pocket if you're a Democrat. You need to get spread wider and get the independents and maybe some wavering Republicans. I don't think what that does anything.
And I think the most telling part is Rashida Tlaib's response to Bill Maher was not to engage the debate or to engage the issue, but instead was to compare Israel to apartheid and then to say, and we should be boycotting not only Israel, we should be boycotting Bill Maher too. I mean,
it's amazing.
We've gone from the 60s free speech, everybody has an opinion, free love, everything else, to the response to anything that opposes the doctrine or dogma of the left is shut it down.
Has Tlaib or AOC or any other sort of hard left member of their group, have they entered an arena where they've got some tough but fair questions? I would love to see that. Why is it that people on the far left, and it's an expanding group within the Democratic Party, are completely unable to articulate their thoughts, to defend their thoughts, to say, hey, I disagree because X, Y, and Z? They immediately play the you're a racist card, you're a sexist card, you're Islamophobic card, and you're a hater. They don't engage in debate. They don't defend their views. They don't strike back in a demonstrative way. They just lash out. They just aren't able to articulate their vision. And because they can't, they've got to label people with the worst names possible. And that's what Piers Morgan is talking about. He's right. And, Piers Morgan's all over the map, and I think he's been guilty of some of the things he's been describing in recent weeks. He talked about how people, when they talk about gun control on social media, people right away not only kind of weigh in with an opinion, but they slam the other side in the worst terms possible. I kind of remember him doing that as well. But listen, if he's seeing the light, I'll appreciate it. None of us are perfect, and we can kind of grow and mature. Have at it. But boy, when was AOC asked a tough question, and when did she respond in a very intellectual fashion? I think I'm still waiting for that.
I think you're still waiting for it, and I think you'll be waiting for it for a long, long time.
That's right.
Because I don't know that, and it's funny because when you think about the marketplace of ideas, and then you combine the concept that the United States is this place, this idea that we have this marketplace of ideas that are always tugging at each other. You would have thought that at one point, Fox News, who stepped in to give some sort of counterbalance, but I'm not certain that Fox News is any longer a counterbalance. There is no place where you can go to have someone who, regardless of their political beliefs, to challenge Trump, but challenge him not on stupid stuff like white supremacy, which I think is a non-starter. I think that's just made-up crap. Is there white supremacy? Yes, there is. Is he an advocate for that? In no way possible. And instead, challenge him on his ideas. For example, the whole idea about buying Greenland. Mm-hmm. When you, at first blush, people think that was an absurd idea. When you think about the geopolitical nature of Greenland and that it is ruled by the last total monarchy other than, dictators, but a true monarchy, why didn't someone ask him, well, how about offering to buy Greenland? How about asking the Inuits, or however you pronounce the name, I'm sure I just run that name, the natives on the island. How about asking them about how they feel instead of having the Queen of Denmark to just announce, no, can't happen. Well, wait a minute, why don't we ask these people?
Yeah, everything is skin deep in this. And then on
the other side, there's nobody. I mean, so now you take the left. MSNBC, CNN, and the rest, all they do is bring the AOCs or whomever it might be on, not to challenge their ideas, but to just, acquiesce to their ideas and see if there isn't a way to use their ideas to bash Trump. That's the world we now live in.
It is, and it's sad.
On both sides.
And I agree. As I said before in the show, though, I think that the right, because we live in a world with academia and Hollywood and the media all left of center, we're able to at least accept other ideas, hear other ideas, and then maybe counteract them. But if you're on the left, you're in this bubbled world where you don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to explain yourself. So when you're criticized, your first response is, well, that's beyond the pale. I'm going to call you X, Y, and Z. Yeah. It's just so damaging, and I think it's intellectually lazy, but it's made them weak, and I think that hurts their cause. I don't think it helps them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Anyway, the story is, unless you got something else to say, the story is over on Christian's website, HollywoodandToto.com. The left must listen to Bill Maher before it's too late. I'd highly recommend you go read it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I mentioned some other cases, not just the recent ones, where he kind of blew the whistle on his own side. Keep going, Bill. Listen, Bill can be mean. He can be as partisan as ever, but I think he is a pragmatist, and I think both sides should listen.
All right. Now you've drawn me in. I got to say one more thing then. I think that assessment of Maher is absolutely correct, but let's step back for a moment. Yes, he's a partisan. He's actually an advocate for really hard left progressive ideas. Mm-hmm. What he's saying and what you and I are agreeing with, you can't advocate for these ideas that I want, whether it be socialized medicine or, whatever crazy progressive idea it might be. The point that he's making is you guys can't make the case for it. Mm-hmm. So quit bashing Trump, quit doing these stupid things, and actually engage with the idea. Yeah,
which makes the upcoming 2020 presidential debates an absolute wreck because, Trump is Trump and he'll go to the gutter and he'll kind of get grandiose and crazy at times. But I think the person he's fighting is going to do the same. It's going to be like wrestling. I mean, there'll be a generic theme: immigration, healthcare, the economy, and then it's going to be just it's tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
Heaven help us.
Body slam.
They should score. They should have a ring girl walk around between the different fights.
So speaking of monarchies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice segue.
Like the segue? Speaking of monarchies, how about the royals and their climate hypocrisy?
I love this. And, I love the fact that the media is rushing to their side. And this is the royals flying hither and yon on their private jets. And then other people in sort of their glitterati circle like Elton John and Ellen DeGeneres say, oh, wait a minute. It's okay. They bought, carbon offsets? What's the precise term you can use?
Carbon offset.
For all the talk of the haves and the have-nots and the rich and the poor, which we see, by the way, this weekend in a new movie called Ready or Not, which is all about how evil the rich are. For some reason, the left loves it when the super-duper uber-rich use carbon offsets to buy off their hypocrisy. I can't square that circle. It's just amazing.
It's the Catholicism of the buying indulgences.
Listen, I love Elton John, and he's just trying to defend his friends who were, obviously royals. But boy, what a tone deaf statement, Mr. John.
Right? Yeah, they spent lots of money to offset their carbon. Well, gee, I wish I could do that. And in fact, I think on United, it may no longer be true, but on United you could actually pay extra to offset your carbon footprint to a certain degree also, which I always just laughed at. Like, okay, I'm trying to find the least expensive ticket that fits the itinerary that I want, and then you want me to pay extra for the privilege of using the Jet A that I need you to use to get me to where I'm going from point A to point B. And, oh, by the way, how many other people in that plane, say it's a 777, so I don't know what, there's 350 people on it or something, how many of those 350 people do you think, oh, yes, let me pay extra? No.
This is one of the many areas, and we talked about the Squad and AOC and how comedians are just basically lying down on the job. It's another area where a lot of humorists could have a field day mocking these people for what they do. But again, they stay very, very far away from this conversation because it doesn't help their cause. And their cause is climate change and global warming, missing the reams and reams of hypocrisy that are all over the planet with these super duper famous people.
Yeah. I'm going to be guilty of something that I accuse other people of doing. And I'm not going to go look it up right now. But okay. I know somewhere in the past, because I had a long meeting yesterday and ate too much and drank too much last night and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I think I read somewhere that in response to this kerfuffle, that Prince Harry, now which one's he married to? I don't remember.
Is it the Meghan Markle? There's a part of my brain that shuts out all royal news, and I had to kind of jump back in because I wanted to share the story.
Although, don't you like The Crown?
No, I don't watch that either. I
think it's a great series. But anyway,
I've heard it's great, so I'm not denying that.
I think it was Prince Harry and whoever he's married to. Maybe it's Meghan Markle. I don't know. But they were seen recently getting off a commercial jetliner that apparently doesn't have first class or anything else. Now, my guess is what they probably didn't see was they bought 40 seats on that plane.
Legroom, come on.
Right, so that nobody was around them or all their entourage was around them. But they were at least seen flying like, whatever one of those, Ryanair, some cheap-ass airline in the UK. They were recently seen getting off one of those planes, maybe trying to do penance.
Quite possibly. It's almost like when you see a Leonardo DiCaprio driving a Prius. Like, ooh, that makes up for the yacht and the private jet and all that stuff. But I just imagine the royals saying, oh, look, honey, I can almost smell the little people. Just disgusting. The fact that it's 2019 and there's still a monarchy and people, I guess, in England, their taxes go to help them. I can't wrap my brain around it.
I know. It's just unfathomable to me.
Yeah.
And that was my point earlier about Greenland. Nobody talks about the fact that Greenland is ruled by one of the last I think the technical term is an absolute monarchy, where the Duma or the legislature or the parliament or whatever it might be is really there to do the queen or king's bidding, not vice versa. I mean, at least in the United Kingdom, the monarchy, at least the queen signs the documents, but they have to go through parliament and the prime minister first.
Right. I thought King Arthur was an old-timey story. I didn't think it was 21st century stuff.
Oh, no, it's 21st. It's 21st century. So, nice. Yeah, we ought to offer, hey, guys, we actually have experience in how to get rid of your monarchy. So if you guys are interested, maybe we can, instead of paying reparations, we could pay all the Inuits on Greenland. We could pay them the equivalent of whatever it is, and help them start an uprising, and then bring Greenland in as the either the 51st or 58th state, depending on who's counting.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I'd love to be a consultant. That'd be a good side hustle for a lot of Americans.
Okay, so now the last story you sent me, I don't get it all.
Okay,
ABC. That's as in the American Broadcasting. That's the ABC.
The ABC, the one and only,
is facing a boycott threat for casting Sean Spicer on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes. What don't you get? He's part of the Trump machine. He helped ruin the country. Then he must not have a public life anymore, which was literally said in Variety magazine, which I wrote about, I think yesterday, where the the writer who was aghast about casting Spicer in the show. Again, this is a dancing show. We're not exactly changing the world. And said that based on his actions within the Trump.
You're such an elitist.
I am. Based on his actions in the Trump administration, he should not have a public life. They said that.
Wow.
No public life.
Wow.
He must be stricken from the record. And so now so we'll see what happens.
He can't even go to use your vernacular. He can't even go on something like "We're not changing the world," Dancing with the Stars.
Listen, the resistance takes many forms. If it means not watching has-beens dance, then that's what it's going to be. I hope you have my back on this, because I'm going to start watching it just so I can stop watching it.
Actually, I can admit I've never seen it.
Uh-huh.
Are the stars? Is the whole concept that is Sean Spicer supposed to be the star, so amateurs get to dance with him? Is that how it works? I honestly don't know.
I think they have some ringers in the cast, some really good dancers that they pair with these celebrities. And I'm using, if you can see me in the green room, I'm using my air quotes here. It's the usual reality show where maybe the celebrities have lost their luster. They're not as famous as they once were. And sometimes it could be like an athlete. It's kind of a motley crew of folks. And, I like the fact that the show is famous because it's a dancing show. And I think sometimes I always thought, like, growing up, dancing was nerdy and not cool. But I think people love dancing. They love to see good dancers. They love to see people excel at it. And I think there's something kind of beautiful about that.
And do they also love to, because now I'm thinking, do they also love to see goobers like Sean Spicer, who I have no clue, he might be a great dancer. Do they also enjoy seeing the goobers not being able to dance with the really good dancers? Is that part of the shtick too?
I don't know. Maybe they're going to watch to root for him to fail. I think that there may be a phone component, maybe where people kind of ring in and see. But by the way, one of the Palin kids was on there a couple of years ago. But I think that the nature of our culture today is much more angry and toxic. Where back then, it's a Palin kid, we don't like her. But now you have like august publications like Variety saying this cannot stand when a former, press person
that
does
makes me
dancing.
think maybe we've gone from when the Palin kids were on, it was mockery. And now we've gone from mockery to just out and out evil hatred.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what's going to happen when they tape the shows. Will they have extra security? I can imagine someone bum rushing the stage and trying to get at him. We've seen, people like Ted Cruz chased out of restaurants, right? We've seen Tucker Carlson's home attacked by people because he dares to promote a right-of-center point of view. That's where we are right now. And by the way, all those loving liberals, they didn't say a word about it. They're still not upset about that. They kind of like it.
Speaking of which, in doing my morning reading, I see where in one of my emails I get about media stuff, that the ad rates on Tucker Carlson's show, in light of the boycott, his ad rates have actually increased substantially.
Oh, my. Oops.
Apparently, people who want to advertise because of the demand for a boycott have created such a demand that the price has now gone up.
I was like, conversely, actually, along the same lines, Gillette is going to be dramatically rehauling their advertising campaign now. Remember, they were the woke razor company, and they lost a ton of money. And the head honcho at Gillette said, "I stand by our stance."
I remember that.
Not so much now. Get woke, go broke.
Shareholders may have had something to say with that, right? Analysts on Wall Street. Seriously?
Oh, my.
Woke? Virtue signaling? Or profits?
That's right. Well, no View this week. I'm hoping to get some more View clips soon, but I think their vacation is maybe winding down.
It is winding down because I did play earlier in the week. Condi Rice was on, and she had a really nice story about why she believes in the Second Amendment. Oh. And I actually made the comment, I'm kind of cheating on Christian, but I didn't listen to anything but what Condi had to say. And she told a story about how when she was growing up, and Bull Connor would try to, the safety director or chief of police or whatever he was called in Birmingham, that her family lived on a cul-de-sac. And her dad and all of the neighbor dads would get their shotguns and rifles and everything and block the cul-de-sac. And as the night riders, the white night riders, would approach their cul-de-sac, they'd fire their guns in the air, scare them off, and they'd leave and go to somewhere else.
Wow, that's a powerful story.
Very powerful story. Now, she did go on to say that weapons of war, and it was like, Condi, come on, you're smarter than this. But anyway, it was a nice view clip. It was actually a nice view clip.
Well, then I have no need for it.
Exactly.
How dare you?
So the mockery will start as soon as possible. Hey, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Hey, talk to you later. So, hey, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode of Michael Brown Unplugged. Everybody have a happy Friday. Have a great weekend. And we'll be back on our regular schedule starting Monday. And you know the drill. Don't hang up yet. Be sure and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, iHeart, Downcast, whatever. And wherever those places are, if you can share the podcast, that'd be great. And then finally, as always, please follow me on social media. Just go to michaelbrowntoday.com, and you can find all of the social media icons. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They're all there. Talk to you Monday. Have a great weekend.